Welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to do configurations of the Active Directory domain service. Over here we have 6 objectives of which we'll try our possible best to complete them. The first one is going to be we're going to change the IP address of the server from DHCP to static. We're also going to install the ADDS roles and features. We are going to set a forest, domain password, administrative password, and promote the domain to a controller. So let's dive in and get started. So on our first objective is to change the IP address from DHCP to static. So on my dashboard, I'll go to configure this local server. On my dashboard, go to configure this local server. Then I go to my IP version 4. You see the Ethernet over here. It says the IP address assigned by DHCP. So I click on that. I go to my Ethernet adapter. I click on the Ethernet adapter. Over here, I have some have it speak over here. The DHCP is speaking from my machine, so you can see group 6 hyphen server local. That's the old active old active domain that I created, but I'm going to change the information over here. So over here I'm going to pick the IP address. We are only going to pick the network IP address. We are going to pick the default gateway, and we are going to pick the DNS. So on this note, we are not going to use this as a DNS. We are going to use the default gateway as a DNS, and then let's see if we have a result. So we go back to our Ethernet. We click on the properties. We select the IP version 4 settings, Internet protocol version 4. Now you put it on static. Put it on static. So I'm going to type. So I had my network ID to be 192.168.153. So I'm going to do it 140. Then my gateway is going to be 192.168.153.2 and 192.168.153.2. It's going to disconnect us from the internet, and then let's see if we are going to have internet again. So we have internet connection. Okay, so over here we are no longer connected to the group 6 server. We are no longer connected. We are connected to that of the machine's IP address. So since we have changed it from DHCP to static, our objective 1 is complete. Now we are moving on to the objective 2, install the ADDS roles and features. So we go to on the same that local server, we go to the manage, we click on add roles and features. Add roles and features. Let me increase this. Add roles and features. We go to next. We go to role based or feature based installation. Role based or feature based. We go to next. Now over here, this is going to be a server. This is the name that we're given for the server. So in case maybe you want to change the server name, you are free to do so. That means that you will have to go back and then change the server name, but we don't want to change the server name. We want to maintain it. So this is the IP address that are assigned to it. 139. This is the IP address that are assigned to it. So we're going to go to next. Now over here, this is the roles that we are going to select. So we are going to select the Active Directory domain services. We add features. We are also going to select the DHCP. We add features. And we also says that the validation process found problems on the root. Okay, so continue DHCP. Then DNS. The reason why we had a problem with the DHCP and the DNS is because it was previously connected to the group 6 server local machine, which already had the DNS and the DHCP already installed. So since you are focusing on the Active Directory domain, we are going to move with only that. We go to next. With the net over here, we are not going to do anything. We are not going to install any other thing. We go to next. So this is a small notice that I will encourage you to read. For future readings, I will encourage you to read, but I've done this a couple of times, so I'm not going to read it. So over here, I go to install. It's now going to install my my ADDS for me. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll continue when it finishes installing. Okay, so it has finished installing. So over here I'm going to click on promote this server to a domain controller. That's promote this server to I think that's objective number 6. So we are going to install the ADDS rules. We have done that. We have done the installation of the ADDS rules. So we are going to promote the controller. Then we set the domain. We set the forest. We set the password. Okay. So I click on promote this server to a domain controller. So over here it comes deployment configurations. Okay. So we're going to this. We are going to create a new forest. So we go to add new forest. Add a domain controller to an existing domain. We are not going to do that. Add a new domain to an existing forest. So this is when we are doing it for the first time. So we go to add a new forest and then we're going to give our domain a new name. So let's say um forest dot local. It can be dot anything. Okay. So let me do it forest dot copy. So forest dot copy. That's going to be our domain root domain name. So we go to next. When we click on next, now it's going to give us the permission to add a password to our domain. So we are working on this. So we are on the promoting to the domain controller. We've done this. We've set a forest. So we are now going to set the domain password. On the domain password, let's say we're going to do a password. Maybe so Kofi that 1 2 3 4. Okay. Okay. So we go to next. We go to next over here. DNS delegation name. We go to next. So the net BIOS is going to be forest. That's the name that you are going to see when you are logging into the network. With the net BIOS name. You can feel free to edit it, but advisably let's not edit it. Let's leave it just like that. We go to next. Now over here we are not going to change any information over here, so we just click on next. Just click on next. Now it's going to do a prerequisite check. Now the prerequisite check, we have a failure here because we have not set password on administrative account. So that's going to be um last objective. So we come back here, we go to on our start menu, we right click, we go to computer management. Okay, forgive me, my machine is quite slow this morning. We go to computer management. From the computer management we go to local users and groups. We go to the users. Now we have an administrator. On administrator we right click, we go to set a password. So we go to click on proceed. Now we're going to set a password. So let's say we're going to use the same password as we used for the domain. Okay, the same password I used for the domain. So actually this is the password you're going to type when you are connecting a machine to your domain controller, to your domain. This is the password you're going to type. So any password you type over here, please and please take seriously. The first password we created was the password that we use when we want to do changes to the domain. When we want to do changes to the domain nature, that's the password. So we're going to rerun the prerequisite check again and see if the error is going to be solved. So please, when you are setting your administrative password, please and please take hold of that password very well, because we are connecting to the domain, that's the password we're going to use. So it has given us a check, a full check. That means that the install option is available, so we can now install. I'm going to pause the video. We'll continue once it's done installing. So after this, the machine is also going to reboot itself. So we wait for that to happen. Okay. So it has finished installing. You see that we are about to be signed out, and then to send us back in. I close them all. So we are done with uh, Active Directory domain settings. So you see the domain is forest.co. So the machine is restarting. So we've been able to change the IP address from BCP to static. We've been able to install the ADDS roles and features. We've been able to promote domain controller. We've been able to set a forest. We've been able to do the domain password and then also set an administrative account. This brings us to the end of the video. Thank you. Bye bye. See you another time.